Thanks for joining us from the Ohio AgNet Voice You Know It, the News You Trust studio, sponsored by Grain Equipment Company, where innovation meets execution. I'm Dale Minyo. Joining me is Tad Nicholson from Ohio Corn and Wheat. And Tad, I had guessed before we got here today to talk, we'd talk about tariffs. But before we get into tariffs, let's talk about things that have been issues for years. Let's talk about trade. Are there some real discrepancies around the world that the tariffs might actually help us negotiate on the trade side, the big picture?
Well, there certainly is, Dale. And, number one, trade is so important to agriculture, and it's just part of our fiber. It's really what helps us. When 95% of the world population lives outside of the United States, you got to trade. We are blessed with an abundant supply, and we can ship it all over the world. It does bring up the issue. There are some times when we have some trade deficits, but also just not fair trade. And here's the prime example. Brazil ethanol comes into the United States at a 2% tariff. When we ship ethanol to Brazil, it's under an 18% tariff. Not fair at all, Dale, and it's one that we've been really upset about and wanting to have somebody, and it seems like this administration is ready to take on that and all the other trade discrepancies.
Some might dispute it. Do we need to do it all at once? But if you did them individually, some people might be thinking they're getting picked on, so I don't think anybody can answer that question, Cam.
That's the nervousness that you feel in the market right now as we're doing everything at once. We went from basically 0 miles per hour to 150 miles per hour. And so that's what's sort of putting a shock in this. And so there's a great deal of farmers and organizations like us that are trusting and believing and hoping, because 25% tariffs on Mexico and Canada, our two largest trading partners, those are not sustainable levels. They would be, as the president is saying, trying to get them to the negotiation table. And it seems that some of those are happening. How fast that happens, a lot of us would like to know. We're in a different farm economy today than we were during Trump 1.0 when we had another one. The farm economy is not in a place that it can really handle this type of a shock for the long term. So certainly looking for a swift resolution.
This is Tad Nicholson from Ohio Corn and Wheat. Tad, let's talk trade outside of tariffs at this point. What proportion of our corn crop needs to go to the world market so that everything continues to deal with a market-on-market basis, not just an oversupply somewhere?
Typically on year to year, we export about 15% of our corn crop. But as you know, we export about 50% of our soybean crop and 50% of our wheat crop. And so it's a big part of the farming system to get grain outside of the United States.
Are we just talking grain, or are we talking grain and byproducts? Ethanol, biodiesel, DDGs? Is it the whole can or just grain?
Well, no, it's everything. When we talk about corn, we talk about corn in all forms, and that means it could be meat. We could turn it into meat, export that. It could be DDGs, ethanol, corn, whatever. As long as it took corn to get there, then we want to promote that export, and it's very important to the entire system.
Tad, thanks for the update. Today's weather brought to you by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. Here's the forecast.
Chilly for the balance of today. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin. Let's take a look at that Ohio Ag Weather Update. I don't have any major changes for you. I think we see some sunshine through the day today, but we're definitely chilly. The coldest part of this Canadian air mass is sitting right on top of us for Tuesday. We get on the backside of the high tomorrow. That brings south winds that probably warm us up a little bit. And then as we move into the overnight tomorrow night and Thursday, we have some moisture that comes in. Scattered rain showers will be here through the Thursday time frame, a tenth to probably half an inch. On a Friday, colder air comes back down, but we may not be completely rid of moisture. Additional pop-up scattered showers, a few tenths, that is all, but it's definitely not a drying setup. We turn warmer for the weekend. I'm Ryan Martin.
And thanks, Ryan. Time now for the Midday Market Analysis, provided by Leist Mercantile and sponsored by Brandt, helping growers take control for over 70 years.
This is Ryan Metzger with Leist Mercantile, providing you with your USDA export inspection update for the week ending April 3rd. These inspections, of course, represent the volume of grain that was physically loaded out for export. The USDA reported that there was 62 million bushels of corn loaded out for export, which was on the higher end of expectations. USDA reported 29.5 million bushels of soybeans loaded out for export. That was also on the higher end of expectations. And for wheat, the USDA reported 12 million bushels loaded out for export, which was below expectations. Please visit our website, leistmercantile.com, to learn more about our grain marketing program and crop insurance services.
And thanks, Ryan. Today's market's brought to you by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. In the markets, May corn down 1/4 cent, 4.64 1/4. December, though, is up 1/2 at 4.46 1/2. March unchanged at $4.59.5. The May soybeans are up 15 1/4 at $9.98 1/4. November up a dime at $9.91. January up 9 1/4 at $10.04. July wheat was higher, now down 3/4, make it a half a cent lower now at $5.50. September up 1/4 cent at $5.64 3/4. In livestock, April cattle $200.97, up $2.05. June up $1.85 at $196.02. April lean hogs unchanged at $87.80, while May's up $1.27 at $85.35. The May feeder cattle up $2.62 at $273.90. August up $2.42 at $280.47. Thanks for joining us. I'm Dale Minyo. This is the Ohio AgNet.